Well, hi everybody. Today's word of the day would be slow. Well, hi everybody, this is DearMamaSal, and I'm on my way to downtown Vancouver. Very unusual for me. So I picked the word of the day to be slow because that's really what's happening to me at the moment. I found that I just seem to be slow on doing everything recently, and the difficulty is to allow myself that luxury. And I want to tell you that for somebody that's always been push, I keep reminding myself, I really don't have to do that anymore. And if I'm going to be an hour late, then that's what I'm going to be. Everybody else seems to do it quite well. Why can't I do it occasionally? And so it's very difficult for me, I must say. What slows me down is the fact that I'm not sleeping as well as I would like. I'm getting to be more and more of a night owl because I keep going to sleep later and later, and then I wake up later and later. So my natural clock is totally out of whack. And it needs to get back in whack in a hurry, because this weekend I'm going to be required to be places at, civilized times. Then I'm not used to that. It's going to be a bit of a stretch. But that's what we have. I was going to say alarm clocks, but we don't carry alarm clocks anymore, do we? That's what we have the tablet and the phone for, right? To make sure that we can get up in time. So I wanted to just quickly give you a rundown on why it's always good to work with a packing list. And I say that because it was so cute. You all know Jody, my admin on the broadcast, and Jody is a real mother hen, and she's so good. And she knows that I'm likely to forget something. And she sent me this incredible packing list that I thought was so cute. I actually have one somewhere in my computer, but I like Jody's. So what I did was I just downloaded it and quickly ran through it just before I closed up all my cases, and found there was one thing on her list that hadn't been thought of by me, and which was to take my slipper socks, if you know what I mean. Those are ones with the rubber bits at the bottom, so that I can be warm in the hotel. And you may think that's an unusual thing to do, but quite honestly, I found it very useful, because a lot of these, I'm sorry, I just totally forgot where I was going. A lot of these hotels, I need to be able to putter, down to get ice, because, I use ice for my CPAC machine. Well, I don't use ice, I let it melt first. But it's really interesting how that's so nice to be able to just putter down the passageway in your fuzzy socks rather than have to put shoes on. So thank you very much, Jody. And a lot of these places also have, I'm not sure about the one I'm going to, but normally they have a place where you can just pop and go and get a cup of coffee. You can pop down and go and get a cup of coffee. Again, nice to be able to do it with your slipper socks on rather than putting on fancy shoes and runners. Now this time packing was more difficult, and I believe I've done the right thing. I say it's more difficult because I had to think about the fact that I'm diabetic. And so I have taken with me 2 meals. When I say meals, they are a roll-up with lettuce and feta or cheese and bacon. I'm not sure which ones I grabbed. But I've got 2 of those for difficult times. I've got string cheese for when I feel I need to eat something and I'm in an awkward place, and I've got some in my cases, but also I've got some in my bag with me. I've thought about things like my Metamucil that I put into my shakes now, because it's amazing what a difference it makes when you just add that little bit of extra fiber. Now the other thing, okay, not quite sure what's stuck there, but we'll wait for a little while. The other thing I've got in here, because this is a new thing that I'm doing, I had an avocado that was just beginning to turn. So what I did was I actually made it into a puree, and I froze it in little cups, little 1/8 of a cup type containers. And I froze it like that. I think I added something to it, I can't remember what. But anyway, the main thing is I'm using them as ice cubes for my milkshake. So I know that it's got avocado in it, which is good oil. Not a lot of it, which is high carb. No, I don't think it's high carb. I think it's low on the... I'll have to double check that one when I'm editing. I'll let you know. But you know, it's just like a little bit of green. But it doesn't turn the milkshake a horrible green. Which is the whole point of it. So in today's breakfast shake, I've got raw oats at the bottom, a teaspoon of Metamucil, orange, gives it a nice flavor, and one avocado ice cube, and that's breakfast. Now I'm having breakfast after my morning snack because that's the way my life works these days. You learn not to worry about what time of day it is. I remember Beth talking about this. Thank you, Beth. Beth talked about this and said, you know, don't worry about having your meals at that right time. What I do is I have my meals when I can feel that I need to eat now. And so that's a really good thing. For example, I was putting on my makeup and I realized I really needed to eat something, but I was on a mission, so I didn't have time to do what I wanted to do. So I literally went and got a piece of cheese. White cheese, stringable cheese, protein. And that will keep my body moving. And then the milkshake, we know, is higher in carbs because oats are high in carbs, but they are also high fiber. And remember, I've also added Metamucil in there, so I got a stack of fiber in my lunch, we'll call it. What else did I pack? Things like grapes and apples, a couple of handfuls of grapes and some apples. Now, I'm pretty sure I'm going to get most of these at the hotel. But here's my thinking from experience. I'm going to get there. Benji's going to want to... And by the way, I'm going in to meet Benji to help him prepare for the seminar he's doing this weekend. But you know, he's going to want to go through things. And then he's going to want to go eat, or take me to eat, or then he's going to want to do something else, and I may not get control of my diet properly until I get back to the hotel room. And that's where I want to have the stuff that I know I can eat. So I've even got some rolled oats that I can either make into cooked oats, or I can make my milkshakes from ready for tomorrow morning if I don't have time to have breakfast, for example. It's all very strategic. I think that's the word. Now, I'm wondering whether I'll be able to do more steps. just by being away. I've got a feeling that I will. Yeah, I'm already at about 2,500 and I got a long day to go, if you know what I mean. Not necessarily, but I would think I'll make my 5K. That's what I'm aiming for at the moment, to do 5K a day. Now that's not very many for a lot of you, but it's nearly double what I was doing before, and what I'm trying to do is enough walking to help keep my weight down and get my weight down. And you can have a choice, you know, you can either go out for a walk, go for a walk around the block, or else you can do it in terms of your general life. And as I've said time and time again, it is amazing how many steps you can do within your house without really trying too much, if you just get focused. The trick that I wanted to talk about, and I will talk about it again, is be aware of how many steps an hour you need to do to get to your goal for those hours that you're awake. You probably know you're roughly awake so many hours a day, and then divide that into the number of steps you want, and it'll give you a pretty good idea of how many steps per hour. So I'm running slow, and suddenly in my life I'm okay with it. I am very grateful to be able to go in and see downtown Vancouver, because it's been an awful long time since I've been there, quite honestly. And the interesting thing is, I'm going to be going to the intersection, I believe, that I know very, very well indeed, and I remember it very well indeed, because when I first came to Vancouver back in 1986, I arrived in August, but I remember it was an October morning, and it was pouring with rain. It was a nasty day. And I was standing there under my umbrella after, having lived 17 years in sunshine, and it was dark, and it was grey, and it was wet, and life could not get a lot worse for me, or so I thought. And then a dirty, great Vancouver bus came by, and what I hadn't seen was I was standing next to a very large puddle. And this bus went through the puddle, and I don't have to tell you where the water went. And I can remember as clear as day, my reaction to it was very simple. I left Africa for this? Well, it's 30 years plus later, and I'm very glad that I stayed. But I do remember that day very, very well. Life's about memories, people, not about things. And even though some of the memories were not fun, they're still memories. And make sure you make some memories today. This is DearMamaSal saying, remember to look after one another, but as usual, please, 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 remember to look after yourself, even if it means going a little slower today.